Hey guys, this is Shino's dad with MJM from Mull 4, and this is the answer video for our contest that we held earlier for the holidays, and we got a bunch of responses. Unfortunately, no one actually got the answer right. So there is actually no winner for the contest, but don't worry, we'll do another contest. And I guess we're going to kind of turn this into a research tour in that case, since we're going to go over the answer, and I'll go a little in depth about each thing and why it works that way and why effects are placed on the chain a certain way. So we'll start with the way I wanted you guys to put it on the chain and get it off the chain was the two Hotaris you were supposed to do first, followed by Tenten, then Ino, then Asuma. That's how you were supposed to place them on the chain, and then you would resolve them off the chain in whatever correct order, doing whatever effects needed. So the way it would start for placing them on the chain is your turn would start, and you would have the two Hotaris, and they would both try to come back into play, and with Flashpoint, you choose the order that they come back into play. So I would put the first Hotaru back into play, which actually triggers her effect of when she's put in play, draw one, discard. So her effect would go on the chain. The other Hotaru would try to come back, but she'd be unable to because you already have a Hotaru in play. So the next card would be Tenten. Tenten is a triggered effect at the start of your turn. Her cost is to discard a card in order to put her effect on the chain. So we would choose and discard a card. Obviously, like I said, all the cards in your hand are Earth cards. So now Tenten's effect is on the chain. The next to put on the chain is Ino. Ino is also a triggered effect with a cost. She says that at the start of your turn, if you have 5 or more mental power on the board, you can mill the top 3 cards of your deck. So that's what we would do to put her effect on the chain. 1, 2, so mill 3. Now what happens because of her effect is Giant Eagle triggers. So what happens is Ino's effect goes on the chain, and because you milled 3, Giant Eagle's effect will go on the chain as well. Now, a lot of people actually got this wrong. They thought that Eagle just automatically happens right now, but his effect, since it's mandatory and there's no cost to it, he actually goes on the chain in full. So you just remember the 3 cards or keep track of them somehow. That's what I'll do right here. I'll put the 3 cards up here. Those are the 3 cards that we're going to choose from when Eagle actually resolves. And then the next card to go on the chain is Asuma. A lot of people also got this wrong, unfortunately. His effect is not a cost in any way, so you don't auto-mill 2. His effect just goes on the chain, and you actually mill the 2 when his effect resolves. So we would go to resolution now. So Asuma would go first because he was the last thing to be placed on the chain. So you would mill 2 with Asuma. Now this, again, would trigger Eagle. The difference between the other Eagle trigger, though, is that this Eagle trigger is happening during the resolution of a chain, and you can't interrupt the resolution of a chain, so you actually have to wait for Eagle's effect to be placed on a new chain. So we just have to remind ourselves that Eagle needs to be placed on a new chain when we're done with this chain. So I'll set those 2 cards aside. Those are the 2 we choose from that Eagle trigger. So after Asuma's effect and the extra Eagle trigger, the original Eagle trigger from Ino would resolve. So we would pick one of the 3 cards. I'll go with Karenai, place her in our hand, and then we discard a card. So I'll discard Student Sensei. So those can go back now because we've already picked the card. After Eagle would be Ino. Her effect, draw 1 card, so we would draw 1 card. After her would be Tenten. She says draw a card, so we draw a card. Since we discarded an Earth card, we don't have to worry about milling or anything. Then we would have Hotaru's effect, which finally resolves, so we would draw a card, and then we would discard a card. So I'll discard this other Hotaru. So now that that chain is finished, we've got the Eagle that's waiting for a new chain. So we replaced Eagle on the new chain. No other effects, no responses. So now we resolve that chain. We pick one of the cards. So I'll pick Shikamaru's Decision, discarding this card, which is decoding the message. So now I don't need to worry about the Koharu. And now that we're done, all of our effects are completed. We have no other effects that need to be placed in the chain. We would just draw our card for the turn, and that would be it. So, like I said, Eagle caught a couple people off guard, or a lot of people off guard. There were some people who forgot about the whole cost thing, where you actually don't put like 10-10 or on the chain, and then you mill 3, draw 1. You have to mill 1 to put the effect on the chain and such. We want to thank everyone for participating, and we're definitely going to have another contest. I do want to give a big shout out to, of course, our number one rules guy out there, Spiritomb, who was actually one of the closest people to get it. He had everything right except for the fact that the whole difference between mandatory and optional effects was actually phased out at one point. So you can add mandatory and optional effects together in any combination. You don't have to do all the mandatory and resolve them first, then move on to the optional. So other than that, everything was really close or spot on. So I just want to say big props on that. We're going to get to work on the next contest soon, and we'll be putting up more content. And that's about it. Thanks, everybody.